This episode of The Witch Wave is brought to you by Woodland Magic. Hand-poured in small batches by an escaped academic turned candle maker, Woodland Magic candles are deeply inspired by nature, folklore, mythology, and literature. This year, they've cooked up magical winter scents to help you embrace the dark season ahead, including bright and festive blends like Yule, Wassail, and Simmerpot, as well as woody, smoky, and dark blends like Hearth, Woodland Wreath, and Winter Hollow. All Woodland Magic candles are made with 100% soy wax and non-toxic fragrances, and they're available at awoodlandmagic.com. Orders of $100 or more come with free shipping, and Witchwave listeners receive 10% off their orders with code WitchWave10. That's awoodlandmagic.com. This episode of The Witch Wave is brought to you by Wiser Books. Dolls have been both beloved companions and instruments of magic for millennia. In The Spiritual Magic of Dolls, published by Wiser Books, author and friend of the pod, Najah Lightfoot, bridges these two uses, companionship and magic, to enable readers to develop profound magical and spiritual relationships with their own dolls. Whether it's your favorite childhood doll, or a doll that has been gifted or inherited from a friend or relative, Najah will show you how to be closer to them in magical, loving ways. Najah presented about the magic of dolls at the Occult Humanities Conference a few years back, and it was an unforgettable, deeply magical talk. So I am so thrilled that this book is now in the world. Pick up The Spiritual Magic of Dolls by Najah Lightfoot today. Hey there. So people are always asking me how they can get more Witchwave, how they can work with me, how they can find magical community. And my answer is join the Witchwave Patreon. There is where you'll get bi-weekly bonus Witchwave Plus episodes, as well as ad-free Witchwave episodes and detailed show notes for all. The Witchwave Patreon is also where I lead a monthly online magical ritual, which you can attend live or watch the recording of at your convenience. And that's available for members at all tiers. And then rewards for some other tiers also include magical merch and contests where you can win Witchly prizes, as well as getting early heads up about my workshops before they sell out, and opportunities to get magical one-on-one guidance from me. And all backers get access to our exclusive digital coven, where you can connect to a community of other wonderful Witchwave witches around the world. So head on over to patreon.com/witchwave and sign up. It's a marvelous way to get more magic in your life and to support the show. Thank you so much.
The world is filled with bewitching people, and you might be one too. Welcome to the podcast where art is magic is real, and reality is stranger than dreams. I'm Pam Grossman, and this is The Witch Wave.
Hello, and welcome to the Witch Wave. Oh my gods, it's that time of year when there is so much going on. holidays and hosting and travel and shopping and cooking and cleaning and crafting and careening. And to top it all off, in my household, we also celebrate the birthday of my Sagittarius sweetheart, Mr. Matt Freeman. And as if that wasn't enough, I also got to see Stevie Nicks and Patti Smith perform in the same week, talk about a couple of magic makers, and as if all that wasn't enough, I'm still out in these streets telling the good people about my new book, Magic Maker, which Stevie and Patti both pop up in. And just quickly on that topic, I have some more in-person events coming up. Next week, on December 10th, I will be in Salem, Massachusetts at House Witch, and I'll be in conversation with head witch in charge and friend of the pod, Erica Feldman, and all proceeds from those tickets will go to the Salem Food Pantry. And then on the next day, December 11th, I'll be in Providence, Rhode Island, in conversation with another friend of the pod, Laura Tempest Zakroff, at Symposium Books. And then for my friends in London, mark your calendars because I'll be skipping across the pond to speak at my favorite English occult bookshop, Treadwell's Books, on January 7th, where I'll be in conversation with yet another friend of the pod, the brilliant shop owner and witchcraft scholar, Christina Oakley Harrington. And the last thing I'll mention on the events front, for those who would like to make some virtual magic with me, save the date for Sunday, December 21st, when Jonica Stuckey and I will be leading an online winter solstice ritual workshop, and you'll be able to sign up for that soon if it's not live already. Details and tickets for all of these events and more can be found at pamgrossman.com/events or via the links in my Instagram bio at Phantasmaphile. So yes, a lot going on, and as exciting as it all is, I have learned over the years to develop my own methods of taking care of myself, especially during hectic holiday times. And one of the things I've learned, and I'm just speaking personally here, but I've learned that alcohol doesn't always agree with me. And look, I've never been a big drinker, but even so, I drink a lot less of it now than I did in my younger years. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking all about sobriety and magic. And while I'm not totally sober myself, I still drink a little bit once in a while and occasionally do substances of the psychedelic persuasion. More often than not, I'm abstaining from alcohol and most other recreational drugs. Now, you do you, but for me, choosing to cut back on drinking has really helped my mood and my spirit and my magic. As I've gotten older, I've just noticed that alcohol often makes me feel depressed and tired, especially the next day. And so I've become a big fan of mocktails and often find myself connecting with the sober folks at the party. And you can count on the fact that my house is going to serve you an array of flavored seltzer at our holiday gathering because that's often what I'm drinking. So I just wanted to put that out there that while addiction to alcohol or drugs isn't part of my story, at least in this lifetime, sobriety is definitely something I'm interested in personally, and I also have deep admiration for anyone who is sober or who has chosen to cut back on drinking. And I also love when folks combine their well-being practices and their witchcraft practices in thoughtful and innovative ways. And that's why I'm so thrilled that my magical friend, Sarah Potter, is back on the show today. Now, Sarah was on many years ago talking about tarot and color magic. I often call her the Rainbow Witch because of her deep sense of chromatic witchcraft. But she's here today to discuss her spectacular and important new book, Sober Magic, using the tarot and ritual in your journey away from drinking. And I just need to share with you a glorious synchronicity that transpired since our chat. Let me set this up for you. So in both her book and during our conversation, Sarah discusses her relationship to the Temperance tarot card. And she has so many beautiful things to say about it, as you'll hear and hopefully read in her book. And the Temperance card can certainly be about literal moderation and restraint, particularly when it comes to indulging in drinking, eating, ingesting substances, and so on. So it makes sense that this card might have resonance with someone who's sober or aspiring to be so. But it's also a card about more general balance and holistic being. I think of it as a card about the alchemical process of refinement, because when we temper something, such as metal, we make it stronger and more exquisitely crafted through a careful and intentional combination of actions and elements. The Temperance card is a card of alchemy. This is why in Aleister Crowley and Lady Frida Harris's Thoth tarot deck, they changed the Temperance card to the Art card. They renamed it and reimagined it. It's such a powerful card, and I write about all of this in Magic Maker, so I won't say too much more about it here. But to them, this card symbolizes the great alchemical work, the art of creation. All of that said, most of us are probably more familiar with Pamela Coleman Smith's rendering of the Temperance card, in which we see an angelic being pouring liquid between two chalices. Perhaps the angel is pouring some liquid out of one of the chalices to temper the amount, or maybe the liquid will continue to be poured back and forth between the chalices to distill or refine the elixir. It's really open to interpretation. But here's where things got super magical for me this past week surrounding this card. So some people think that the being on this card is the Archangel Michael, which is a lovely thought on its own, and if that resonates with you, fantastic. But I just had a mind-blowing tarot reading from my friend Angeliska Polacek, whose tarot business just so happens to be called Sister Temperance Tarot. So she obviously loves this card too. And during my reading, she revealed to me that there is another interpretation of the angelic being on this card. She told me that some tarot readers believe that it's not an angel on the Temperance card, but is rather a depiction of the Greek goddess Iris. Yes, the goddess of rainbows, who is one of the few winged goddesses and who just so happens to be a goddess I've been working with closely for the last few years, as many of you know. Shameless plug here for my Prismatic Magic Workshop, which you can still download from my site. But anyway, Angeliska first pointed out to me that if you look at the Temperance card, the flowers just behind this winged being happen to be irises, which of course we know are named after Iris, the goddess of rainbows. And she also shared with me a version of the Temperance card that was rendered by someone named Frankie Albano. Now, the Albano deck, as it's come to be called, is a slightly modified and super colorful printing of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which came out in 1968. And in the Albano version of the Temperance card, over the winged being's head is a rainbow. And you can see it for yourself by Googling Temperance card Albano or some variation thereof. And you can see this rainbow version of Temperance in all her glory. And this is jaw-dropping to me because I learned about all of this literally last week as I was putting together this very episode in which I talked to Rainbow Witch Sarah Potter about the Temperance card and Iris, the goddess of rainbows, who is sacred to both Sarah and myself. So since then, I have ordered myself a copy of the Albano Tarot deck, and I will be adding the rainbow version of the Temperance card to my Iris altar. So huge thank you to Angeliska for telling me about the connections between Temperance and Iris. Thank you to her for my tarot reading. And thank you to her for tying this additional rainbow bow around my conversation with Sarah Potter. And ooh, this conversation is such a resplendent one. But before we get to that, first, let's check and see what's come through on the Witch Wire.
Who is it?
Witches.
Hi, Pam. It's Matt. I live in your Brooklyn apartment, and I've never really called into the Witch Wire before, but I wanted some magical advice from you. I am turning 50. It's a big milestone birthday, and some people just sort of wander through it with real aplomb, and some people get very, misty-eyed. And I'm feeling, a little sad, a little nostalgic. It's been a little difficult for me, and I'm wondering if you have any advice for how to make my 50th year feel more uplifted. And if you have magical advice, if you have ritual advice about how to approach this with better energy and a fuller heart. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for all you do, and I'll see you later this afternoon right here in Brooklyn. All right, love you. I hope it's okay to say that. Okay, bye.
I love you too. Hello, Matt Freeman, my gorgeous, adorable, nearly 50-year-old husband. Thank you for this question. And yeah, I can attest that you are having a lot of feelings about this big birthday that's coming up this weekend, and understandably so. And you and I have been having some conversation about the emotions of all of this, not to mention the logistics of how we'll be celebrating with friends and family and each other. But yeah, there's definitely a magical component to milestones and rites of passage. And I do think, in fact, I know that ritual can really be of help here if you have the bandwidth for it. And let me first say that ritual is a way in which humans have helped themselves transition from one state of being into another for thousands of years, whether we're talking baby naming ceremonies or bar and bat mitzvahs or sweet 16s or weddings. You get the idea. And yet we don't do ritual intentionally very often as a society anymore. And I think that it's something that people long for when it is missing from their lives. Ritual has a psychological effect, certainly, but I believe it has a spiritual effect too. You are crossing a threshold. You are opening yourself up to new energies and perhaps leaving old ones behind. And there is magical work that can be done to support you in this threshold crossing. And let me just say right now, the anxious anticipation of any threshold crossing, of any transition, it's so understandable. Because when we transition from one state of being into another, we are walking into the unknown. We are an initiate of a sort. And being an initiate is a tender, liminal time when you are leaving a state of being behind or a self behind and becoming something new. And new is scary, but new is also exciting and full of so much potential and power and wonder. Now, honey, if I didn't know you personally, I would suggest doing some sort of elaborate ritual involving costumes and candles and dancing and chanting. But as much as I would love to put you in an incredible cloak and lead you on a pilgrimage through the woods, I happen to know that's not exactly your style. But I do know that you're a lover of theater, brilliant playwright that you are. And I know you're a lover of Star Wars, and so you absolutely have a deep sense of mystery and myth. And so I recommend that in addition to the birthday party and other plans we've made, that you, or perhaps we, come up with some way to mark the occasion that incorporates ritual. It can be an hour, an entire evening, it can be 15 minutes. But as a playwright, an artist, a human with an intuitive sense of ceremony, let me ask you, what ritual would you write for the protagonist that is you, who is reflecting on their past while also getting ready to step into a hopeful future? What do you want to bring forward into this new state of self? And what would you like to perhaps thank and graciously discard? What intentions would you like to set for this next decade? How would you like to mark it? Is there something you'd like to write or recite? Is there a meaningful location from your past you'd like to visit? Or a new destination you'd like to manifest something new in front of? Is there someone or something you'd like to call on for help? An ancestor, a deity, the spirit of Luke Skywalker, the ghost of Samuel Beckett? Is there a favorite piece of writing you'd like to read or something you'd like to write? And by the way, none of this has to feel somber or staid. You can make this ritual as silly and strange as you care to. It needs to feel personal. And you're a fucking weirdo, let's be honest. And I say that with the deepest of love and adoration. So make sure whatever you come up with, it feels like you. And also do consider what symbolic gesture will represent that the ritual is complete. This can be as simple as, yes, lighting a candle at the end, or as elaborate as making a pilgrimage to a personally resonant place and leaving an offering or speaking magic to you words. In pagan weddings, some couples jump the broom to signify crossing over from a state of singledom to a state of couplehood. Maybe you want to jump the lightsaber. We've got plenty of them laying around, I'm just saying. But the point is, there's no wrong way to do it, but taking the time out of your normal routine to do something for yourself, which is designated as a ritualized activity to mark this life change, will help you be present for yourself and honor this transformative moment in your life. And it will also signal to you, and I believe to the spirits, that you are ready to welcome whatever is to come. I'm so honored that I get to bear witness to this next assuredly phenomenal phase of your life. The world is so fucking lucky to have you in it, and I'm so grateful you were born and that you are alive and thriving. Happy 50th birthday, Matt Freeman, my love. Now, on to my guest. Sarah Potter is a New York City-based professional witch, intuitive tarot reader, and spiritual guide, as well as a writer for such places as astrology.com and Bust Magazine. She's also the creator of the Cosmo Tarot deck for Cosmopolitan, and now she is the author of Sober Magic, using the tarot and ritual in your journey away from drinking. And as you'll hear, Sarah is also a dear friend of mine. But I learned so many new things about her from her wonderful book and during this conversation, which made me feel so moved and so inspired. Sarah joined me here in the studio in Brooklyn, and you can watch the video of our conversation over on my YouTube channel, which is at Phantasmaphile. Sarah Potter, welcome to the Witch Wave.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you.
I'm so thrilled that you're here. And let's do a full disclosure.
Yes.
We are dear friends. We, in the past, have been coven mates.
Yes.
We have a deep, beloved connection. And I'm so happy to get to talk to you in this capacity. But we've seen some stuff together, haven't we?
That's true. Yes.
I know we don't have to disclose all of it, but I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for coming to the studio today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so delighted.
Yay.
Ooh.
So, Sarah, we are here to talk about your new book, Sober Magic, using the tarot and ritual in your journey away from drinking. This is your second time on the Witch Wave, so I should have said welcome back. But this conversation is going to be really different than the one we had earlier. This book is so personal. It's so beautiful, Sarah. And I'm just so proud of you. I hope that's not like a weird thing to say because we're peers. But I really feel like with this book, you have opened your door and said, hey, I've been through some stuff and here are some things that have helped me. And I'm just so moved by it. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, that feels really good to hear. It is not easy to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I feel like how can we expect anyone else to be vulnerable if we don't take the opportunities to do the same?
Yes.
And I think there's so much showing us maybe pretend like everything is totally great. We just arrived here in this beautifully formed way.
Right.
And I certainly did not.
Right. We're supposed to be like together all the time and just espouse about our success and how we got here. And in fact, we're all hot messes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, completely. So,
yeah, right?
Let's just admit it.
Exactly.
And it's okay.
Exactly. We all have our moments and we've all walked through darkness. And this book, it's a very light, bright, beautiful book. It's so uplifting. It's so helpful. And there is definitely darkness that you walk us through in the book too. So why don't we just start at the beginning? What made you decide to write about your sobriety journey and through the lens of tarot and witchcraft?
Well, I feel like in some ways it was inevitable. But it was just, when was I going to step into that and say yes and truly embark on another spiral of the fool's journey?
Mm-hmm.
And when it hit me, which feels like literally and metaphorically, I write about in the introduction, which is when I black out at a music venue and have this resonance of having the same experience of blacking out in a nightclub, which I did many times when I was drinking, but having this different experience of being in a different place. And when that happened, I had about 5.5 years of recovery. And it really hit me like how similar the experience was, yet totally different. And why have I been able to stay sober this long? Because this isn't my first round of sobriety. I think relapse is part of recovery, and it's been a long journey for me. And what I realized was it's my spiritual practice. I think there's a lot that goes into it. It's the willingness, it's the readiness, it's the ability to ask for help. But I was like, oh, it's being a witch. It's tarot and witchcraft that's helped me stay sober. And I was like, this is my book. And I was like, here it is.
Yes. Yes. And here it is. And it is such a masterful book, Sarah. I think it's going to help so many people. I think it's going to save so many lives, like truly. And it feels like you're really talking about how tarot and witchcraft and 12-step have saved your life quite literally. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. It's those three elements. That's why I feel like everything good I have in my life is because of tarot, witchcraft, and the 12 steps. And honestly, I feel like 12 steps is such a beautiful framework for the human experience. I thought everyone else knew how to live life, how to do life. And I think somehow I thought I wasn't given the handbook.
Right.
And I really do believe like 12 steps is the handbook. And there's something in there for everyone. It shows us how to be accountable, how to reflect, how to own our part, how to keep our side of the street clean, and how to be a good member of our community, which I think that no matter what you're facing, being a human is challenging. And there is a structure there that really provides support. And I wanted to bring that in because when I started looking at, I was like, how has no one placed the Fool's Journey of Tarot next to 12 Steps? Because it's so clear to me. And I felt like such a fool in many aspects of life. And I was like, this is incredible. It's so inspiring. And it just made so much sense. And I wanted to like welcome everyone else into that and invite them into this like aha moment of excitement and weave it all together through a pagan lens, which to me feels so welcoming and inclusive because that is my spiritual path. And I do feel that there are so many ways that change is hard. And I understand the fear that comes up. And there are so many ways I think our brains try to protect us. And there are ways that maybe entering into a 12-step meeting feels like that's not for me. And sometimes it isn't. But if we can approach it from another angle, and I do feel like things feel a little less scary if it's language we understand, if it's belief systems we adhere to, it feels open to how we move through the world. So I wanted to bring that in because that felt so important to me. And I know what it's like to feel not welcome or that's not for me or not yet. And no, now it is.
Yes, I love it so much. And there's so much I want to respond to. First, I'll say I have a number of people in my life who've been through 12-step or who are in some of those programs. And I have learned so much about myself and have gained tools as someone who I have plenty of my own struggles, believe me. Addiction to substance and certain behaviors. That's not my fate in this life. I definitely have some behaviors that are not awesome. And yet, the people in my life who are in 12-step and who have shared some of their experiences with me and who have shared the 12 steps with me have helped me become a better human. Like, I've learned skills. When I read this book, I gained reminders and also new skills and techniques, to your point, just for navigating the world and navigating my own shadow and darkness. So this book really is for everybody, not just folks who are on a sobriety journey. And yet, of course, I think for those who are walking that path, you offer this really fresh way of engaging with the work through this magical lens. So let's talk about The Fool, where we begin. Actually, before we do that, Sarah, can you also just talk about how you've organized the book? Because it is going through the 12 steps, but you kind of map the cards or the major arcana onto the 12 steps, right?
Yes. So I broke down the 12 steps and tried to look at them through paganism as well as tarot, and then paired each step with cards in order. And then bringing in the minor arcanas to kind of flesh out all of the details and bring it into the everyday as well.
It's so smart, Sarah. It's so good. It also helped me understand tarot better because you and I have talked about this. You're such an expert of tarot.
Oh.
And for those who aren't familiar with Sarah's tarot work, like, first of all, where have you been? Second of all, like, a lot of people know you as a tarot expert, a tarot reader. You're many other things as well. But I loved engaging with the tarot through the lens of sobriety or through the lens of trying to wrestle a demon and come out the other side of it. I just thought it was so, so beautiful. So let's begin with The Fool.
I love that card.
Tell me why.
I just think that it's so lovely to be a fool to not know what you're about to get into. And yes, that could be so scary. And I think about how Pixie illustrated the Fool card, and this figure is there, the dog is there, there's a cliff, and we can't see what's on the other side of the cliff. And I think that's so hard for us as humans. We always want to know.
Yes.
It's probably why I have a job.
Yes.
But I really spending time with that card and expanding beyond the framework, I like to think about what's down there. Is it even that far? It could be jagged rocks, but what if it's like a bubble bath or like fluffy pillows or something really lovely and you just don't know? And I think about too, with the Fool, sometimes because we don't know any different, we don't know any better, that kind of like naive nature really leads us onto an adventure that is better than we could have even imagined. Right?
Yes. It's so interesting because I remember when I was first learning tarot, which, I was probably 12 or 13.
Yes.
And I thought the Fool was like an idiot, right? I think a lot of
Mhm.
people have that misconception about this card before they dive deep with tarot and then quickly realize, oh, no. The Fool is like an initiate. They are just beginning this path of mystery. And so it's a real like leap of faith card to your point, right? You're leaping into the unknown, you're leaping into mystery. And it seems like for you, starting your sobriety journey felt like that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you can always get lower in the rock bottom, but I didn't want to. And it was just like, I need to go up. I need to get out of here. And it felt like embarking upon this Fool's journey was the only option. And I know for me being in that place, I couldn't imagine not being in there, but embarking on this journey, being a fool, saying yes, taking the first step, going off that cliff, it led me into this next maybe season of life that was beyond what I could have imagined or dreamed possible. Even just, I think, getting myself to the edge of the cliff had felt almost impossible.
Yeah.
Got there.
Yes.
And it was just like the surrender that came through. And it's just like, it's time to go.
Yes.
Take that leap.
Exactly. So, Sarah, I don't want to make you go through the entire book because I want everyone to read it. But by way of introduction or just by like way of example, I would love for you to talk about, let's say, step 2. What happens in step 2? This is the step that's paired with the Magician card and the High Priestess card. So what are you delving into in this book for step 2?
Okay, so when I go through the steps, I also share an anecdote from my life that was going on in this first year of sobriety to try to show how I was moving through that step in life and help readers see how we can embody the energy of that step. So the Magician and the High Priestess are guiding us to build a sobriety altar. Because like this is an act of devotion to yourself. And so let's make it feel as important as it is. And I think having a dedicated space that you can go to be with your thoughts, stillness isn't easy. But I think if we find the ways to support ourselves, to create some ease in that, always good.
Yes.
And so this is what I was doing myself as I was getting sober. And I built this altar to my sobriety. And I had some crystals that helped me feel connected to that. I had little trinkets and mementos. I had images of what a sober life meant to me and represented and what I was dreaming of and yearning for. And that was very motivating in helping me get to that altar and be there and connect to myself, to the deities that were guiding me. And I still have a sobriety altar too. And I still change it up and shift it and spend time there. And I think just creating a space that's yours where you can really think about what you're doing here and why and be intentional, I think is so supportive to our recovery.
I lit up when I read that section of your book because I found that making physical altars has absolutely elevated my own magical practice. I have a book altar when I'm writing a book,
Yes.
and certain altars to certain deities. I love the idea of a sobriety altar. And if you don't mind disclosing, I mean, you certainly do so in the book, some of the gemstones and goddesses that you really connected to in your own journey. It might be useful for people who might want to build their own sobriety altar but don't know where to begin.
Oh, I would love to share. So I think every sobriety altar would benefit from some rose quartz. My favorite crystal. Inspired my hair.
It's so beautiful.
And I love rose quartz because it brings us back to that connection to ourselves. It always makes me think of the Ace of Cups, like love, compassion, just sweetness.
Yes.
And just bringing that in, because I think self-love is so essential, as well as self-compassion, to a sobriety journey. So having some rose quartz, amethyst, also an essential. Amethyst.
My birthstone.
So good. Well, amethyst, actually, there is this lore that sailors would keep amethyst in their pockets when they were out to sea to help them be sober.
I love
Isn't that
that.
fun?
Yes, this is tickling something in my brain too, and I can't remember the exact mythology, but I'm pretty sure that amethyst is supposed to have some connection to this Greek myth about wine. And I think the nymph amethyst or the goddess amethyst, there's something there about how she is connected to wine in a way that helps keep you sober as well. Like it roots back a long time is my point. And I'm sorry, I don't know the exact story, but Google it. You'll see.
Ooh,
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
So cool. So I feel like having that, I think it's nice too to think about that connection of how amethyst has been supportive throughout time. And it's
Yes.
going to support you as well.
Yes.
And having some amethyst, I think, is just a total essential for the sobriety altar. I feel like get a good candle.
Always.
We always need a good candle.
Of course.
I never need an excuse to buy another candle.
Same.
And I feel like it depends on what you're working with, because that's the thing too, is I feel like the sobriety altar is meant to grow and shift and evolve with you as your journey does as well. So if we are just starting out, I think it's lovely to have pink candles, bring in that self-love and compassion we were talking about with rose quartz. I think white for a little clarity, new beginnings, this fresh start, and a little green to nurture. I mean, I like to load up the candles, so don't let me stop you.
I love that you're going to color as well, because I always call you the rainbow witch, because you are such an expert in color magic. We talked about that last time you were here. You always dress so intentionally with color. And so I was so happy that color magic is part of this book.
How could we not?
Of course.
We have to.
Of course.
So,
And can I remind you as well that at some point in the book, you write about the Temperance card. And not only in the Temperance card section, and I forget what step that is, but you just talk about that card as being very instrumental in your sobriety journey too. So did you have that card literally on the altar?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
And why?
Well, I think that card really does bring to mind that moderation and balance, which I feel like can get lost in addiction, of course, and that ideal. And I just find that figure to be so angelic.
Yes.
So supportive, so calm. I feel like whenever we see water in tarot, it's soothing. It's hearkening to our emotional state. And the water in that card, I think, is really so lovely. And to me, it has such motion to it. It reminds me of the passing of time. And I think that Temperance is such a beautiful guide in sobriety. And just, it's hard to pick one card that really captures the essence of it. But that was the card that really came out for me. I was pulling it constantly. It wanted to be seen. It wanted to be felt. And I embraced its guidance. So having that card there, and then depending on what else was going on, I would always put a second card to kind of support whether it's going through the steps or just an aspect that I found was challenging and some sort of energetic guidance that could guide me. So I invite you to pull some cards from your favorite tarot deck, put that on the altar. But I think Temperance should be one as a lovely ideal of balance.
So beautiful. You also write about how giving offerings to your deities and guides is something that is traditionally encouraged on an altar, but that in your case, you don't leave wine on your altar. And it should have been obvious to me, but I didn't think about that. I use wine and alcohol as offerings sometimes to my different deities. But of course, if you have a sobriety altar, you might not want to do that. So what do you do instead?
Well, and people write to me about that all the time. And I do feel like people worry that they're not going to get it right.
Yes.
Or they're going to offend someone, offend their deity. And I believe in benevolence and compassion and understanding. And I don't believe that any sort of guide wants you to put yourself into temptation or harm yourself in any way for their good. And I don't think that anyone would expect that. So there's not wine on my altar, but I always have a glass of water and
Perfect.
other offerings and gifts. But I don't think that I know you don't need to push yourself in order to
appease the gods.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
you don't have to jeopardize yourself and your
Absolutely.
well-being.
Yes.
Exactly. On that note, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. This episode of The Witch Wave is brought to you by Immaculate Design. Are you a magical business owner who would like to see their entrepreneurial dreams flourish but need some practical manifestation support? Immaculate Design can assist. Immaculate Design is a magical practitioner-owned graphic design agency that offers branding, digital promotion, and graphic design services specifically for independently owned magical businesses and cottage industries. Immaculate Design will help you to nurture and grow your business's most important needs, which are visibility and promotion. Whether your concerns are material, such as creating a logo or commercial sigil, business cards, flyers, product labels, packaging, and other tangible promotional collateral, or more ethereal, such as digital promotion through social media, online advertising, and websites, Immaculate Design can assist you in addressing all of your brand identity needs. Need some support with branding your business? Immaculate Design can also help you discover your commercial persona and how to present it to the world. Visit their website today at immaculatedesign.org to schedule your complimentary consultation. And listeners of The Witch Wave receive a 10% discount on all services until year's end. So that's until 2025 ends. So be sure to mention this podcast when you reach out. Once again, go to their site, immaculatedesign.org, and mention The Witch Wave for 10% off through the end of 2025. Immaculate Design. Branding, digital marketing, and graphic design services for magical beings. The Witch Wave is brought to you by BetterHelp. The holidays are a time of traditions, but my relationship to these traditions has evolved over the years. Matt's family celebrates Christmas, mine celebrates Hanukkah, I also celebrate the winter solstice. So I've tried to come up with ways to honor each of these traditions and come up with new ones too. Now's the time to reflect on what holiday traditions mean to you, or to rewrite those traditions and make your own during what can be a very joyful, but let's be honest, also hectic or even lonely time of year. I can get very overwhelmed during the holidays, but I realized that I love going to the Metropolitan Museum at this time of year and seeing it all decked out for the season. And going there and visiting my favorite works of art also gives me a sense of peace and contemplation and stillness in an otherwise pretty chaotic month. It's something I do just for me, and it helps me plug into a sense of sparkle and self-care. Therapy during the holidays could also be a new tradition, one where you make sure to take time for yourself. I truly do not know how I would get through the holidays without my therapist, and I recommend you see one too, because it is so important to take care of ourselves, certainly all year, but especially during this season, which can bring up a lot of complicated feelings. That's why you might want to consider trying BetterHelp online therapy this December as a way to close the year with clarity rather than chaos. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. All you have to do is fill out a short questionnaire which helps you identify your needs and preferences. And their 12 plus years of experience and industry-leading match fulfillment rate means that they typically get it right the first time. And if you aren't happy with your therapy match, you can switch to a different therapist at any time from their tailored recommendations. And people seem to really love BetterHelp, which is probably why its average rating is 4.9 out of 5. And that's based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This December, start a new tradition by taking care of you. Witchwave listeners get 10% off at betterhelp.com/witchwave. That's better, HELP.com/witchwave. Welcome back to the Witchwave. Now, something that comes up a lot when people are talking about 12-step and their resistance to it, I know a lot of folks are turned off by this idea of a higher power, or they're turned off by the spiritual language, or they're turned off by the idea of God, like it feels too Christian for them. And I thought it was so wonderful how you reframed this in the book. And you basically say something to the effect of, it doesn't really matter what the higher power is. And in fact, you can choose a deity or even someone you really admire to give your offerings to, or to aspire to be like, or to find inspiration from. You talk about your connection to Lilith, for example. Like your higher power is Lilith during your sobriety journey, which of course I loved. Can you talk about how you found your way to her in sobriety?
Well, I feel like when you're open to these energies, they're going to make their presence known. And Lilith was appearing to me constantly. There were so many times in my life that I was really struggling with sobriety. And Lilith was kind of peeking around a corner, just reminding me she was there.
Yes.
Whether or not I wanted to engage with her was up to me. And I really liken the aspect of Lilith that came through to me in my sobriety journey as I thought of her as this truly wild, demonic party girl who was so defiant and powerful and in this wildness that I think part of me would numb out and drink to connect to my own wildness in a way. And here was this spirit who embodied it so easily. And I think that she could be quite misunderstood because of her strength and power, like so many. And I went to college in Boston, and I would go and visit the Museum of Fine Arts most Sundays, pretty hungover. And Kiki Smith's Lilith was right at the door.
You and I share a love of this piece. That piece, I saw it at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, so I wonder if it either traveled or if she made a couple versions of it. But that, like when I read that, I was like, Sarah, and you and I have so many other commonalities, which perhaps we'll unpack later. But I was like, that Kiki Smith piece of Lilith meant so much to me as a young person. And to read that it meant something to you too, I was like, of course, Sarah and I are on this same wavelength. So tell me more. You encounter this beautiful piece and
I feel like art is what reminds me that there's a divine presence.
Yes.
That is proof of the divine. And even just spending some time with her, noticing that I was transfixed with her eyes whenever I would come into the museum, I knew what she was saying. I wasn't ready to hear it, but I knew what was going on. And I started this practice of devotion that was actually quite intuitive. And now I can see all of the ways that whether I was in acceptance of being a witch or not, I was always a witch, and I was always doing witchy things and witchy acts.
That right there, Sarah. Exactly.
And there was one part in the book that I really enjoy, these acts of devotion I was doing like in the bushes of the Museum of Fine Arts. And I was trying to offer gifts to Lilith and hear her. And I remember this day like so viscerally, like kind of digging this hole. And I had these like just ratty hair extensions that in my greatest partying, I would like leave around, like so people could see like where I had been, and putting those extensions I like unclipped one and like threw it in. I threw a cigarette in. I threw another cigarette in. I always had those like tiny bottles of wine in my bag. I'm like pouring the disgusting blush wine in.
Like Sutter Homes
yes,
or
that was
something.
it. And my way of connecting with her. And then abandon that realm of, I mean, I wasn't sober. I was just struggling. And
you were carrying little bottles of wine in your bag, so I think we gathered.
Yeah. And so, but then she was always making her presence known. And I always noticed her in art and literature and just little sweet ways she would appear. And then in this round of recovery, I just remember being in this old bookstore. I just love like vintage bookstores.
The best.
So good. And I tripped over this book that had Lilith on the cover. And I was like, finally, like, okay, I hear you. I hear you.
Yep.
And she was such a beautiful guide. And to be honest, like we really only truly worked together that first year.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was time to move into a new season with someone else.
Yes.
But I am so thankful for that year. I don't think there was any other deity that could have guided me in the way that I needed other than Lilith. And I just feel like she still winks to me. And I just think like her energy is so lovely. In my book, I included other deities that felt inspiring to me to kind of jumpstart some inspiration. But I feel like in any devotional work with deities, like see who's been appealing to you, who's been making their presence known, who gives you that feeling of like lighting you up.
Yes.
Which is funny, you know, in 12 steps, when we talk about sponsors, you look for someone who has what you want in recovery.
Okay.
And I've always thought of that as like also how you can look for a goddess to work with or any spiritual deity, like who has what you want?
Yes.
Who can show you how to embody that?
Oh, that is so beautiful, Sarah. And I'm so glad you brought up the goddesses because I wrote down the names of a couple I had never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And you include, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, a Greek goddess named Sophrosyne and her Roman counterpart, Sobrietas. I didn't know about them. What did you learn about those two?
So I have to be honest, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
And I really do think like some of the best creations we can make or the inventions is like we need to create what we want.
Yes.
And if you can't find what you want, like, why don't you create it?
That's right.
I just felt so lost as I was embarking upon this fool's journey. And I tried to think about like, well, what kind of guidance did I need? Because I was just so out of my mind. And I feel like even just a little something about a list, something to give me. I'm a Virgo. I love a list. So,
and you love the Temperance card, which I think was a very Virgo card.
It is very Virgo. Yeah. I did a lot of research into what I could find as like, okay, let's start with what is sobriety? Like who is there that can really guide us? And there's not a lot that I could find, but I do believe that if you feel called to work with them, they're going to make their presence known. They're going to share their energy with you. I also think that, you know, the opposite of addiction, I think, is community. So let a community come together and guide you. So it doesn't have to be just one energy that you're working with in the divine. There's a whole team here to support you and help you on the other side. And so I feel like also if anyone finds anything, please let me know because I'm always open to learning.
Yes. So you and I both share a love of the goddess Iris, the goddess of rainbows. I mean, you are the rainbow witch. And one of the things I love about developing my practice of devotion with Iris is that there isn't a lot known about her.
Yeah.
And so I'm not beholden to tradition. And I don't think we ever really are. I think all of these practices are fluid and we can personalize them and evolve them. That said, it's kind of nice to not know who Sobrietas may have been in Roman times or how people might have given offerings to her. And that really leaves you to choose your own adventure and make your own devotional practice to her if you wish.
That's what I was thinking too, because that's inherently a fool's journey in itself.
Yes.
And I feel like one of the reasons I wanted to write this book was to affirm one's intuition. Your sobriety doesn't have to look like anyone else's.
That's right.
And your spiritual journey doesn't have to look like anyone else's. So who is anyone to say you're not connecting with sobrietas correctly? Just, I think, trust yourself and trust the messages you're receiving and take a fool's journey with that one as well.
Yes. Gorgeous. Can I just shout out also, you talk about looking to real people on this side of the veil who you aspire to be like, and you bring up Florence Welch, one of the high supreme witches of Florence and the Machine, of course. Can you talk to me a little about what she means to you in this context?
Well, I think that we can't put the responsibility of sobriety on anyone else. Like, sobriety is your responsibility and yours alone. That's how I feel anyway. And I do feel like you never know what anyone else's journey is. We don't know what anyone else is facing. But I do think that it's lovely to be inspired by others' journeys. And I think that speaks to community. And I was just always such a fan of her music. And the way she is on stage always feels so powerful, so inherently witchy. Not even speaking to this new album, which is the witch album. But there is something that I found really inspiring about interviews I would read about her. And I know, I don't know what she's going through or what she's embarking upon. But seeing someone who I saw as so larger than life and creative in her expression. And when she would share about her sober journey in interviews, it's so vulnerable. She's such a presence. And I understand so many people don't share about their sobriety journey, and we aren't entitled to anyone's business.
Right.
But I was just hearing about how she felt so many feelings and sharing about stage fright and all of these ways I can totally understand needing to numb out. And being in a season of life where she wasn't was just so beautiful to me, because I really felt like I was like, how am I going to move through the world sober? But sometimes I think when we can see other people trying it or sharing their story, it reminds us that we're all fumbling through this human experience.
Yes. And I love that you chose her because she's a rock star. She's a fucking powerhouse rock star. And I think this is true of a lot of artists. And I think it's frankly true of all vocations. But artists in particular, I think there's this very toxic myth that we get fed, which is this myth that you have to suffer for your art, that there's a romantic connection between artists and alcohol or artists and drugs. And to see a rock star be that ecstatic and powerful and transcendent and successful, who has been sober, I would imagine was really eye-opening for you and lots of other people.
Oh, absolutely. Because I totally fell under the spell of tragedy and pain creating good art. And I do feel like those experiences in life absolutely provide inspiration, but we don't need to stay in it in order to create in that way. So to see someone who just was truly, in my eyes, being the fullest presence of their expression, sober, wow.
Wow. Big wow.
On that note, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back.
This episode of The Witch Wave is brought to you by Sister Temperance Tarot. Angeliska of Sister Temperance Tarot offers readings that are compassionate, trauma-informed, and powerfully intuitive. These sessions are designed to help people navigate life's biggest questions, transitions, losses, and awakenings with clarity, grace, and care. That's no doubt why Sister Temperance Tarot has been voted Best Psychic/Tarot Reader in Austin for 10 years running. They've been reading professionally since 1999, and they specialize in readings for artists, fellow mystics, creative spirits, seekers of magic, and lovers of mystery. Come with your questions and leave with insight, strength, and a spell of support. Readings are available by phone or Zoom, so book a session now or learn more over at sistertemperancetarot.com. Hi, Witch Wavers. I know, and you want some Witch Wave merch. And our print-on-demand merch site is now available through Dashery. So if you want to get different variations of our gorgeous Witch Wave logo designed by Thunderwing, or our Witches Are the Future catchphrase designed by Lara Antal, printed on everything from t-shirts, mugs, totes, stickers, magnets, notebooks, you name it, you can. Shirts come in different styles and fabrics and are available in sizes small through 5XL, so you can order whatever you'll feel you're most comfortable and most magical in. So head on over to witchwave.dashery.com. That's witchwave.dashery.com, or you can click the Dashery link in the Witchwave shop over at witchwavepodcast.com/shop. Welcome back to the Witchwave. Let's talk about rock music and music venues and circle back to the beginning of your book. And you alluded to this earlier. The book starts with you in a music venue and you pass out, and then you come to and you have this kind of horrified moment where you're like, ugh, are people going to think I blacked out because I'm using again? I'm drinking again. And you had been sober at that time for a while and you hadn't been, correct? You hadn't been drinking. What actually happened to you in that moment? Why did you black out?
I was hit with so much all at once. I think I just short-circuited. And actually, even before that, I was in my hotel room getting ready. And I had this like flash that was like the potential of I was going to black out. Sometimes, I don't know, the way my sensibilities work is like, I don't really get context. I just see potential of what could happen.
Let me just like underscore this for listeners and people watching us. You are psychic.
Yes.
You get psychic information. Actually, why don't you describe, how do you classify or qualify your gifts in this way?
So I'm receiving messages through all of my senses. I'm picking up on visuals. It's auditory. I can taste it. It's a sensation. It's like all of my senses are cranked all the way up. I'm receiving messages from others' emotions. People have passed on. You know, something that sobriety has taught me is boundaries. And I've gotten better boundaries in, I feel like, every aspect of my life, even energetic, but I'm still working on the energetic ones.
Yeah, boundaries in all realms. That's what we're going for.
So
sometimes you're just like, ghosts, not today.
So I did. And so sometimes I do feel like I can see what's happening or what the potential of what could happen, but I don't understand why. You know, I had a lot in my mind, as usual. We're all busy humans. And I was getting ready and, you know, having fun getting ready. I think like getting ready is kind of more fun than the actual thing usually. I was just getting ready and it's like, oh, I could black out. Oh, I haven't really eaten enough today. I'm just going to eat a lot. You know, I was like really enjoying the hotel experience. There's room service. I'm having hummus and like veggies and a fruit plate. And I'm just like,
I love that that's your luxury. I was like, cheese and oysters and, you know, chocolate cake. You're like, hummus, veggies. All right, Sarah, you do you.
And I was like, oh, if I eat a lot, I won't pass out. And so I'm marching up to the venue and I could feel this like, almost like magnetic field that was like, don't come in here. And I've experienced that when I come in as a medium into different venues. There have been times where it's like, we don't really want you here. Or there's certain rooms or certain areas. And I feel like when I'm at work, I respect it. But in my personal life, I was like, I want to go to the rock show. I was reconnecting with this ex I was still in love with. Like, I was like, I'm excited to see him. Like, I want to have fun.
Was he playing?
Yes. Yeah. And I was just like, I was like, I'm going in here. And so I remember like just marching through and just like, I've got this. I had plenty of warnings and I just ignored all of them. I was like, I'm staying here. It got to one point where there was like a couch outside of the bathroom. I'm like laying on the couch. I hate to admit this. I'm laying on the bathroom floor. I was really having a whole like callback to my drinking. And I was like, I just need to stay a little bit longer.
But you're totally sober this whole
Totally
time.
sober.
Okay.
Oh, totally sober.
Okay.
It was just all like
The
just
triggers.
this like energetic heaviness.
Okay.
Where it's almost like all of my energy had been drained.
Oof.
And I felt really weak. But there is something in me that is quite stubborn sometimes. I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm moving through like psychic existential dread where I'm like, no, I'm going to have a normal life. It's Saturday night and I'm going to the rock show.
Mhm.
And I would just like to do something normal. I deal with the spirits like 24/7. Can I just have my night off?
Yes.
And so I was like, I'm going to do this. And
Sarah.
we really shouldn't betray our intuition, but
Facts.
and like what rock show is really worth this? So it was just like everything hit me all at once. And it was like what was going on behind the bar, what was going on in the registers, what was going on with the guy I was seeing, what was going on with the other people in the room. And then the spirits of the space too. This was an old factory that's been turned into a music venue.
Okay.
And everything is just so...
Was this the knitting factory?
No, it was not.
Okay.
There was a lot to contend with.
Okay.
And I remember kind of the tipping point was I walked closer to the guy I was seeing and there was a girl with him. And it was like, as soon as I stepped closer to her, it was like I could see all of the lies he had been telling me. And then it was mixed with everything else that was going on. And these spirits that kept being like, we don't want you to see what goes on here.
Right.
And I feel like it was just like almost like this energetic
whirlpool.
Yes. Filled with like old garbage that had just been there.
Residue.
Yes. And it's been enhanced by all the people coming and going, all of the alcohol, all of the music. And like no one had cleaned this place in like, I don't know, a century?
Probably literally, but also spiritually.
Yes.
Like no one was like taking incense and their herb bundles and giving it a smoke bath.
Definitely not. This place is in desperate need of that. It felt like my brain short-circuited, my eyes rolled back in my head, and I just dropped. And I wake up. The security guard is arguing with my now ex, and the security guard doesn't believe that I'm sober. Being sober is so important to me. So anyone, even a stranger thinking I'm not sober, was deeply devastating in that moment. And I felt really vulnerable being on the floor. Everyone's looking at me. Everyone's crowded around me. And they're arguing. He's insisting that I must be on something. I will also say no one Narcaned me. That's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about harm reduction education.
Yeah.
Is that I think it's so important to know about this, to have Narcan on you and to utilize it and to know how to use it.
Yep.
But they had no problem blaming me and saying that I was clearly under the influence while doing nothing to support that. I mean, I just felt so much shame.
Yeah.
And I hate that feeling of someone not believing me.
Of course.
And I do feel that I don't need to prove my psychic abilities to anyone anymore. But there was in that vulnerable state, I felt like no one's going to believe. I had an energetic attack because I felt everything in this building, including the spirits. Like, that sounds wild.
Yeah.
And it's far easier to think that like I was drunk. And then I heard my ex say that I was just psychic. And I was like, oh, here we go. Like somehow this has become worse.
This is so interesting to me, Sarah. First of all, I'm so sorry that happened.
Oh, it's okay.
But I also so appreciate you sharing that story because it seems to really encapsulate your, certainly like your sobriety journey, but also like your coming out of the broom closet or the sobriety closet in so many different facets of your life. This moment that you're in of being like, I am a witch, I am psychic, I'm a professional tarot reader, I'm sober. You're like really coming into the light with this book. And in doing so, I think you're going to empower and inspire so many other people who hold any of those identities or other identities that perhaps you or I don't hold, but that they're trying to grapple with and they're trying to make peace with and maybe bring into their own light too.
Oh, I hope so. That's really lovely to think about because I felt for so long that I couldn't be myself or I couldn't like share who I was for so many fears. And just being sober really reminded me like, I'm just so happy I'm alive and here. And
Yes.
I don't want to be anyone other than myself. And I understand I don't need to share all of this, but it really is who I am. So I like being able to share that and to be received. So thank you. And
Absolutely. I want to talk also about a framework that you use throughout the book that I've found so helpful in understanding the people in my life who struggle with addiction, which is this idea that oftentimes addicts are super sensitive beings and they're using substances or behaviors to numb that or soften that somehow. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think it's such a compassionate way of looking at addiction. I know some people say addiction's a disease. Maybe that's a helpful framework. I'm not here to say yes or no. I think it is for some people. I love the framework of like addiction is about trying to dull very sensitive feelings and emotions. I don't know, it just makes me feel so much tenderness towards people who struggle with these things.
well, it was something that I really found through my own experience and going through the 12 steps and understanding my motivations and how I got here and the behaviors I was acting on. And a lot of it really was just trying to protect myself because I'm so sensitive. And I feel like there are so many of us who are drawn to witchcraft and art and music and all of the many ways we can express our feelings because we're feeling so deeply.
Yes.
And being able to even look at my sobriety and my spiritual practice from a new perspective through writing this book, it really clicked in a new way where it's like, oh yeah, I'm like very sensitive. And this was what I thought was the easiest way to deal with it.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we grab what's closest or what we think is working, even if it's not. But I know that I was drinking from a young age to try to move through the world. And I like to think the world is becoming a kinder place for those of us who feel very deeply, but we're still navigating that road. And I think when we provide that compassion to ourselves and others, I think that's how we can really create change and new ways of understanding.
You do it so beautifully. I have to bring up, and this is not a spoiler because you very clearly say, like, you're going to take us through the majors of tarot. So, no surprise, we end up at the World card. And what I didn't realize when I was starting to read your book, you say you're going to take us through also the first year of your sobriety journey. I think you and I met in that first year. Is that correct?
We did, yeah.
And like there were parts of the book that you're talking about going to a coven meeting. And, I know you want to be, I'm not trying to like out anybody or anything, but I was like, I think I maybe was there. Yes, you were. And I'm like, this sounds very familiar. And you writing about the Seligman Center, I'm like, I think our paths crossed. I mean, we did that event with Kristen Soleil at the Seligman Center, but you might have been there for Jesse Bransford's show on another occasion too. But I was like, how amazing is it that during that first year, you're making your way to the World card of integration? All these magical, witchy things are happening for you. You start reading tarot professionally in that first year. You find your way to your soul person, Anka. You find your way to a coven. Like all of these amazing things happen, which helped you become a more integrated world card unto yourself, would you say?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like, even looking back and when I was writing this book, I was like, wow, so much happened in that year. And I share a tarot reading that I received during that year when I was really struggling with some aspects of my life. And what had come through in the reading, part of it was just say yes to this transformation. And I think when we let everything change, everything changes. And I do believe that the universe is supporting us and providing opportunities to walk through doors, and they might challenge us and stretch us out of our comfort zones. But there is a lot here that's being provided. And the way everything was able to line up, I really did feel like I stepped through the world in that year.
Yes.
The end.
Ah, It moves me so much. And it also moves me because when I first met you that year, like, I don't know, there was so much about you that resonated with me and felt so familiar. Obviously, we have our New Jersey witch connection.
So good.
We said this many years ago when you were on the show, but you and I grew up a town apart from each other. We did not know each other. We went to
Wild.
the same mall.
I know. I know.
I mean,
it's wild.
we went to the same, mall occult shop,
Yes.
and you are someone who loves art and magic. We've talked in the past before about all of your curatorial successes and your experiences of putting together art shows and integrating art and magic together. We're both witches. Like, I feel such a kinship with you. And this idea that, I don't know, that perhaps we would never have met is so wild to me because it feels like we were so fated to be in each other's lives. And I say that with such a grateful heart.
Oh.
But I didn't know all of this, Sarah. I didn't know this whole journey you were on. So it's been a gift not only as a general reader and researcher, but as your friend to learn more about you. So I am so grateful that you wrote this on all those different levels.
Oh, that feels so good to hear. Well, and sobriety has taught me how to share about how I feel, how to admit when I need help, to say I'm struggling. But I think, to be honest, that year it was hard to always even admit to myself how challenging it was. So I do believe time is a spiral, healing is a spiral, the fool's journey spirals.
Yes.
So there is something healing too to be able to have time and space away from that and to be able to share in a way now. And
yes,
as much as it's been terrifying to share, it's actually feeling far more like good and exciting, and it's time.
Yeah, it's such a courageous thing to do. And it's such a generous thing to do because, as I said earlier, you're going to help so many people. And I am just so excited for them to read this book. Before we start to wind things down, I just want to do a final check-in about where you are in your sobriety journey and how magic is continuing to support that. Because as you said, these journeys are spirals. I don't know if you want to put a number to how many years you've been sober or whatever, but how do you feel about it today in this moment?
Oh, I feel so proud to be sober. It's the greatest accomplishment of my life. I really, as I said earlier, it's like everything good in my life is because I am sober and I'm a witch. And it is funny. I don't need to think of the days anymore. But what is funny, my rock bottom was 9 years ago. Like, right. It could even be this week.
Wow.
My sober birthday is in April. April will be 9 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, which is like wild. And sobriety is so important to me still, but it manifests in different ways. Like, I feel like in that first year, I was always thinking about, like, I am sober. And that was like really at the top. I'm not really thinking like I'm sober anymore. But then I'm like, oh, yeah, I am. I really do feel like sobriety gives you the opportunity to have a life that's beyond sobriety. So I do feel like it's there. And I'm still very dedicated to my sober community and being a part of that and the interconnection. And I still have a sobriety altar in my
You
home.
do?
Absolutely.
How has it changed?
Now it's more focused on community. It's a real 11 step if you read the book.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Are there any final thoughts or messages that you feel called to share before we close?
Wow, it's just been such a pleasure to be here with you and to share this book with you. And I really hope that if anyone takes anything from this, I hope it's that it's okay to be sensitive and there's nothing wrong with feeling things very deeply or in a very big way. And it's actually like a beautiful gift you can share with the world. Just being yourself and being sensitive and show yourself some kindness and compassion because it's not an easy way.
So splendid. Well, once again, this is Sober Magic by Sarah Potter. It is such an exquisite book for anybody, but especially folks who are sober curious or in their sobriety journey. There are tarot cards that you talk about. There's also a lot of rituals and spells. And I mean, it's just like a grimoire for taking care of oneself and loving oneself. I think it's just a masterpiece, Sarah. I'm so dazzled by it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm just so happy for you. And I'm so happy to know you. And I have to give you a hug.
Oh, I
I'm
love
really
you.
just so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Sweetheart, people are going to want to know how they can work with you. They're going to want to get tarot readings from you, I'm sure. And you do public rituals and all kinds of teaching and workshops. Please tell the good people how they can get more of your magic.
Please stay in touch. I would love to connect with you. I love Instagram. That's like such a good visual spell. It's I am Sarah Potter, Sarah with an H.
And your Instagram is so colorful and artful. And I mean, you're a wonderful writer. You write articles, lots of different places as well. This book is beautifully written. And your Instagram posts are really beautifully written, which is not true of most people. Anyway, sorry.
So good to hear.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm gushing too much, but keep
Wow.
going. Keep
Oh,
going.
I receive it. Thank you. So good. I'm having fun on Substack. I send out tarot scopes and spells every week. We align with the moon. It's so fun. I love it over there. It's like an old school, like live journal. And
that's it. It's like I miss
Right?
blogs so much, but it feels between like Substack and podcasts and Instagram, we're sort of getting in that world
I think
again.
we're there almost. And I do lead full moon rituals in Asbury Park, New Jersey. I need a reason to go back to New Jersey once a month. So please join me at the Asbury Hotel under the stars. It's so fun. Try to turn it into a full experience with music. And I would love to read for you if you'd like to book a reading. My calendar is online. And there's so many ways we can connect. I'm celebrating this book virtually as well as in person. So just follow me on Instagram and you'll see all the good things, all the ways we can be magical together.
Fabulous. Sarah Potter, thank you so much for doing this. I love you so much and congratulations.
Thank you. I love you too so much. This has been such a pleasure.
That's it for the show. Thank you again to Sarah Potter for sharing her sober sorcery with me. Do you have questions, feedback, need some witchly advice, or just want to share something magical that happened to you recently? Drop us an email or a voice memo over at witchwavepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and you just might make it on the Witchwire. Please check out the video of my conversation with today's guest and prior guests over at my YouTube channel @Phantasmophile, and please like and subscribe. The Witch Wave is a Phantasmophile production, written and produced by me, Pam Grossman. We are 100% independently run and proud of it. This episode was recorded and edited by Josh Wilcox and/or Walter Nordquist and myself. Our theme music is the song Hand and I by Lycanthia. Our new Witchwave logo was designed by Thunderwing. Special thanks go to Matt Freeman, Laura Antal, and Cece Pascal. Please pick up my books Magic Maker and Waking the Witch, or the Witchcraft volume I co-edited for Tashin's Library of Esoterica series. And if you want more Witchwave, or you would just like to support the show, please join us over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/witchwave. Thank you so much for listening. Witches are the future. I'll catch you next time on The Witch Wave.